Well, the first scrimmage of spring comes up later this morning, Bob, and I can't wait to see exactly what's going to happen there. But let's take a moment just to look back on the first 4 days of spring practice. I believe it's got up to a pretty positive start overall. I'm very pleased. Give me your thoughts on it.
hmm It has, but real quickly, hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. It's free, don't cost you a thing, but man, it really helps our channel out big time. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely do appreciate that.
But on to the offensive side, Tim. The main thing, one negative, real quick. Anytime you have practice, one of the first things you worry about, injuries. Uh, the first one we've had so far, hopefully the last, Cam Seldon. It's going to be out the rest of spring. Rumor has it he'll be back fall. So we'll see.
Well,
Hopefully he's good. I hope.
yeah, we don't get a whole lot of information about the injuries. Heupel guards them like nuclear secrets.
Yeah,
Somebody could be dead for 4 days, and he said be day to day.
that's
Um,
pretty dang accurate right there.
yeah, I do hate that Selden is going to miss time because he's one of our very favorite young players. I believe the sky's the limit for him. But it's going to give a couple other guys, Kalitha Keith and Deshaun Bishop,
Bishop. Yeah.
an opportunity to show what they can do.
hmm
So let's look at a couple of the newcomers, though, Bob, that we are coming in because that's what you read. Look at spring most of the time. You look at these new guys, and in the age of the transfer portal, you really look at them.
The guy that sticks out the most has probably had the biggest impact so far to me is probably Braylon Staley. Uh, he's playing slot. And man, I tell you what, he's freshman wide receiver. He has looked fantastic so far. Really quick, uh, making some highlight reel catches. Squirrel White better, bring his A game. I know this guy's just a true freshman,
Yeah.
but
4 days in, so let's not be smart and lower the
oh
expectations.
no,
Let's just go ahead and reach up
that's
our
not what I do.
yeah.
That's not what I do. Every player is an All American until they're proven otherwise.
That's right. Hey, it's just like the regular season, man. It just starts up. Vanderbilt's undefeated
Right.
until they play the
Bring
game.
them all until we lose them.
But Braylon Staley does look like a stud. I saw his film last year, and I know last year was supposed to be a great year for wide receivers coming out of high school. And he was a top 100 player, but he was down the list of wide receivers, and it makes sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
thinking top five, six guys because his film looked great.
Only thing I can think of, Tim, on that was, it's kind of like the NFL. I think they project slot guys a little lower because they don't go super high in the NFL draft. That's the
Hmm.
only thing I can think of because his film looked fantastic. But
He's definitely made an impression so far this spring.
he has. But now the one guy we did get that was a 5-star, Mike Matthews. He's looked good so far.
Yeah, he's not been a disappointment whatsoever.
No, not at all. And then you have the transfer from Tulane, Chris Brazil. Uh, yeah, he had a day or two there where he's having problems just bringing the ball in. He was catching it, but the ball went a little bit. But it seemed like he's got that under
He
control.
cleaned it up a little bit, which is a one thing I think Brazil's done a great job of. It just lighting a fire under Dante Thornton because he's made quite a bit of a buzz his own self.
Mhm.
Seems to probably be putting his best practices together since he's been down there. And we all know there's probably not more talented individual as far as height, speed, on the team.
Right.
Um, so that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about a position of need, though, Bob.
Yeah.
Newcomer come in, tight end. Got to have a tight end
Got
to
to.
go with Ethan Davis, and that's Holden Stays.
Probably one of the most important transfers we got because we're super thin at that spot. But so far, he's looked good. He's looked what we thought we was getting with him. He's physical, but looks athletic. So far, so good on him. But still very early on. Uh, but probably like the biggest guy we got, Tim, in the transfer portals, LSU freshman offensive tackle, former 5-star Lance Hurd.
Well, it is, and Lance come in looking got a little bit of gut on him,
Mm-hmm.
which I say what that will not last long in this offense.
Right.
but has really been solid so far. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're very happy with what they've gotten.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing any negatives whatsoever. In fact, they seem to be pretty thrilled to have him.
Yeah.
It's going to go a long way in making this offensive line um, upper level in the conference. Um, him coming over and being an upgrade over John Campbell last year, and then moving John Campbell over to right tackle and being an upgrade uh, is really a hell of a foundation for what hopefully is a great offensive line. I would like to say John Campbell, though, Bob. He was somebody that could have easily hit the portal also
Mm-hmm.
and everything, but it seems like he really bought in,
Yeah, that's big.
which is huge because NFL, man, they don't carry 15 offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
They carry very few. And if you can show that I can play both left and right tackle, that's a big feather in your cap, just ex Darnell Wright.
One other player I want to touch on real quick on the offensive side is Trevor Duncan. He's a redshirt freshman. Come in as a defensive lineman. We promised him a fair shot at
Mm-hmm.
defensive line, and he got it. And I think they've talked, and I think he's willing to go on over the offensive tackle, and that's where everybody thought his ceiling was
Mm-hmm.
offensive tackle. And the early returns is that he seems to be bought in, and that's what you're really concerned about when somebody switches position. Is he bought in?
Well, it sounds like he may have kind of went to them to a degree because I know Ellerby was telling a funny story how he invited all his offensive linemen over for dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and Duncan shows up. And he said that's kind of shocking because most time these defensive linemen avoid the offensive line coach like the plague,
Yeah.
because they don't want to be noticed. Say, hey, come over here to the offensive line. So, uh, so it appears that he was ready. He probably realized his path to the field was on the offensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
and probably his path to the NFL is on the offensive side of the ball.
Switching over to the defensive side, Tim. Let's start at the defensive line. We got a transfer in defensive tackle Jackson Moy, I think is how you say his name, from Stanford. Uh, there was a little clip of him doing a little spin move on Bison Lang. Looked pretty impressive. Looked pretty quick for a big guy.
Well, Bob, there's in a real game, he probably would have got picked up by a guard. Okay,
Probably.
so I'm not really worried about that. But just the fact that you saw the man that large, that athletic to do a spin move, not just a spin move. We're talking about a quick spin move that you would be hoping a defensive end like James Pierce could do, because he was quick. Tells you what kind of athlete probably getting with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was effective at Stanford, but he was an underclassman,
Right.
and now he's getting a little age on him, getting grown a little bit, getting under Garner. We thought he was going to be a guy that helps us in 26, but he may help us in 25.
Might do it. But moving on to let's look at the secondary, Tim.
So we got a couple of transfers and new guys
Two
coming in.
guys who probably gonna make a lot of noise. Early returns is Jacoby Thomas, the transfer from Middle Tennessee State, has looked probably better than what they anticipated.
Yeah, and they was bringing him in to definitely fight at least for a starting job, and that's going very well so far. And early returns are very positive for Jacoby Thomas. And the guy, though, that we had a lot of high hopes for, and his turning heads, Jamon McCoy, the freshman All-American cornerback out of Oregon State.
Yeah, he has looked good. I mean, I even heard one person say that they thought he may have NFL first round talent. And if he can live up to that kind of expectation, and then you got Ricky Gibson on the other side who has loads of talent. Georgia wanting him bad. You could possibly have something special there at the corner spots.
Yeah, if they don't get beat out by Jordan Matthews or somebody like that, of course.
Yeah, Christian Conyers.
Yeah, we've got some talent with those corners, I believe. Now another newcomer who's not a transfer, but we've talked about him. Everybody else probably talked about him, and they're going to continue talking about him till the day he gets out of here, I believe, and that's Boo Carter.
Right. Yeah, Boo Carter, man, he's an outstanding player. I think this guy's got uh, he. I say everybody's All American until I prove otherwise. This guy, I think he really is going to be an All American. I mean, he's got the ability to be in. For what I can see from his clips in high school, and for what I've seen in the
Early going
early
here.
going, the guy looks like he could be an All American at offense or defense. Super quick, uh, great hands. I mean, I don't know, man. This guy's got excited. If Jordan Thomas doesn't, do well, or if he get injured, Boo Carter's going to take that spot, and Jordan Thomas may never see the field again.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say I don't know how he's going to do about tackling and stuff like that, because this is a big jump from high
Yeah,
school. But I can promise you one thing: the first time he picks a ball off, I'm going to jump out of my seat screaming touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
right.
Even he'll probably get tackled for a 1 yard return, you know. But I just cannot wait to see him
Yeah,
with the ball in his hands.
yeah. He's got that ability. He's got that.
He's lightning in a bottle,
Yeah, he's got that Eric Berry.
return kind of
Yeah, if
thing.
he does get a lot of interceptions, the other team better watch out because he could a danger to take it all the way back. Um, who else do we got, Tim?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other guys. We could jump into the linebackers or the that defensive line. That Tim Banks called the best in the country the other day.
He did.
But
Yeah,
let's transfer just a little bit, but pivot again, Bob, over to this past weekend.
yeah.
We had about 48, 50 guys coming in, high school kids coming in recruits.
Mhm.
And as normal, you expect a pretty positive response. I mean, come on, it's free visits. I mean, kids are going to be pretty happy. But that sometimes you've been around long enough, when kids are happy and when kids are really happy and when you really made a move. I believe this is going to be a very successful weekend for us.
I really think so, Tim. I mean, like you said, you've been recruiting junkies since we was little, really, since recruiting information came out.
Yeah, reading, getting Tom Lemming in the mail or
Yeah,
Blue Chip Report in the mail. I mean,
yeah.
it's been a while.
It's been a while, but you see these guys' interviews, and some of them you can tell, some of them you can't. But I tell you what, listen to all the interviews, listen to all those guys talk. It really give you some high hopes, and not just high hopes, but a lot of these guys we're going after town. These just ain't guys. Years ago we get a 4-star guy who was battling with Mississippi
Louisville,
State
Mississippi
or
State. Okay.
somebody. Now a lot of these guys were battling Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State,
Clemson.
Clemson, Texas, people like that.
Yeah. Well, let's look at an overview of some of our recruits because, I mean, we'll talk about some of the individuals that showed up this past weekend
Yeah.
because we'll get more information as the days go by. But you know, uh, this class is going to focus on the offensive line, offensive tackle in particular,
Right.
and Jalen Matthews believes he's teasing to put out a commitment date very soon. He's on threes, number 10 offensive tackle in the country. And Bob, I'll be shocked if we don't grab him.
I think we are the leader for him right now. Um, and man, I tell you what, offensive tackle recruiting, it looks pretty good. I mean, I think we're going to get this guy, and it sounds like the commitment's coming fairly soon, hopefully. Then
If we do, the question is, can we get a second one?
you got David Sanders, which is probably the top offensive tackle in the
Yeah.
country. I think we're thick into that one, but we're fighting for the big
Guys
boys.
you talked about a moment ago.
You got Josh Petty, which is I think like number 3 or 4 tackle in the country. Uh, Andrew
Babalola or something.
I mean, he's like number 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And we're pushing hard now on another kid out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, Douglas Utu. He's a top 10 guy also, 6'7" in the country. And then we've also got some guys who could play both guard and tackle
yeah,
that were going going after pretty hard. Juan Gaston, Dontrell Glover. Um, I mean, we've got a lot of guys, and look, we're not going to grab 5 of them,
Right.
obviously. But if you could grab 2 of these tackles and maybe a really national guard, ranked guard, this would definitely be huge for Glenn Edwarby.
Oh yeah. Um, that man, we got in on so many guys, Tim. You got the offensive line guys. You got what's his name, Deshaun Bond, right?
Bream, I believe it
Right,
is.
right.
Desan. Yeah, I think it's Desan instead of
Uh,
Sean, but
yeah,
don't quote me on that.
I think you're right.
Number 3,
Tight
tight
end.
end,
Yeah,
which we've already got one tight end. We're very happy to stay at 1,
yeah,
but we do realize we got a good shot at this kid right here. So we're going to go for him hard. And if we don't get him, then we're going to shut down tight end recruiting for this year, because in the 26th class, we have probably 2 of your top 5 tight ends that we're in great shape with.
yeah.
Carson Sneed out of Chattanooga,
Mm-hmm.
who I consider a lock, even though he's not. I mean, let's face it, it's a year away, and he's not committed.
Right.
And then the Harrison kid out of North Carolina. Um, it ain't often that you're looking at a kid like him, a tight end. He wants to be a tight end, but I think 247 Sports has him rated number 2 player in the nation.
Yeah, that tells you how good he is.
Yes.
Tight ends don't get ranked number 2 player in the country very often.
No. And while we're on 26, I think we're in good spot. I mean, for the on 3 number 1 quarterback in the country again.
Yeah, I mean,
Faison Bradley, or
Brandon, I think.
Bradley.
Face and Brandon, I think.
Yeah.
Big time quarterback, man. I tell you what, we're recruiting quarterbacks like gangbusters. I mean,
It shows you where we're putting our NIL money at.
yeah, I mean, you get Nico and you got George McIntyre.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Merklinger, who seems to be the one that don't fit in all this stuff because he's not in the top 2 or 3 at his position, still a top 10 guy, and I'm very happy with him.
Yeah, a few years ago, we'd been tickled to death to have a guy like Merklinger. Now he's a guy like, well, hopefully, he sticks around and,
Yeah, he very well may become the best of the entire group.
well, you never know.
But but that's a bit out there right now. These other guys. Let's pivot back to 25, and we'll jump over to a couple of the guys on defensive real fast before we go on to something else. But Christian Garrett, on 3's number 5 defensive lineman in the country, out of Georgia. We're in the thick of that.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to look at the schools that are recruiting him hard and that he's in on. Clemson, Georgia, Alabama. When you have a guy who's got that kind of list, you want him.
You want
I mean, that's, and then you got the guy who's going to commit
tomorrow,
hopefully to the good guys, Ethan Utley. If between us, probably Texas seems to be our main competition.
Yeah, I think Michigan's faded some.
Yeah, but hopefully, Texas seemed like the buzz with him was a week or 2 ago was Texas. Now it seems to be more Tennessee. Yeah. He's a top 15 defensive tackle in the country. I mean, you take those kind of guys all day long.
You will. Now, I will say this. This recruitment will not be over tomorrow. Mm-hmm. He's already talked about taking all of his official visits later, going in toward the season and everything. But, to get his initial commitment, I would like to know, at least that tells you you're number 1 now. I'd rather be battling from out front than having to play catch up.
Yeah.
So, let's hope tomorrow brings us good news on that. And, of course, the following day on Friday, guys, we got trying to get into the Elite 8, beat them Blue Jays out of Creighton.
Yeah, man, I hope we can pull that one off. I think that's a winnable game. Well, I mean, any game is winnable, but I think this is a very winnable game. But it should be a very good game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a shot. Final Four, if we can make that one, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's not been a lot of upsets. So to get to Final Four or championship game, you're going to have to knock off some heavyweights.
Yeah.
But hey, I've said it more than one time this year, and I think when we're playing our best, we can beat anybody.
And yeah,
We're going to have an opportunity to prove it.
yeah.
So, till then, guys, we do appreciate you taking a few moments out of your day and spending it with us. But at this point, we normally say go Big Orange.
Try it. Go Vols.